Hey everyone, and welcome back to PetSpot. Sometimes hunger strikes and drives us mad. Hangry has become a popular term to describe the feelings of some people when their need to eat is too strong, and they start getting upset. Take that and bump it up to 1000%, and you start to understand how the wilderness works. Wild animals will do just about anything to score their meals, and if that means risking their life in a mixed species fight, then so be it. In this video, we're going to be talking about 11 crazy moments of animals fighting over food. Make sure you stick around until number 1 to see a crazy clip of some animals going wild over a big meal. Number 11. Wild dogs versus hyenas. You may take a look at a wild dog and a hyena and think they would get along just fine, but in the wild, you can't make friends. Wild dogs and hyenas are about the same size and live in close proximity to each other, so you can't expect that they will be hunting the same prey most of the time. And when that happens, a fight is sure to spawn. Look at this fight. You can see a hyena trying to enjoy its meal, a freshly killed deer. A wild dog spots it and gets hungry too, so it nips at the hyena. The hyena doesn't appreciate this very much and tries to chase the wild dog away, but the wild dog is persistent. The hyena attempts to move with its meal in its mouth, but even that won't get the dog to leave it alone. Number 10. Wolves versus bear. Wolves and bears are both big and strong animals. They're known to fight to protect themselves and their meals. So imagine pitting hungry wolves up against a hungry bear. That sure spells out trouble. You can see what happens right here. A couple of bears are seen enjoying a meal when suddenly one of the bears spots something. A pack of wolves. These wolves want a bite too, so they slowly approach the bears. One of the bears quickly charges at one of the wolves and scares it. The wolves hang around, looking for a weak spot, but these bears are vigilant. They chase the wolves some more, and eventually the wolves decide that maybe this isn't their fight. I'd say that's a pretty smart decision. Number 9. Leopard versus hyena. Leopards are agile, and hyenas are smart. Neither has an overwhelming advantage over the other, so a fight between the two animals is not too far-fetched. When it comes to food, leopards and hyenas will do just about anything to make sure they can eat and finish their meal. These fights can get intense. In this clip, however, we can see that the leopard and hyena are willing to share their meals. They enjoy the same things after all, but it isn't always this peaceful. Here we can see another seemingly calm shared meal, but when a second leopard spots the two eating together, it is not happy. This hungry leopard springs into action and chases the hyenas away, leaving it scared for its life. The leopard then grabs the carcass and takes it up a tree, making sure the hyena can no longer get to it. Anything's fair in the wild, right? Number 8. Lions versus crocodiles. Sometimes, land animals and water animals can get into a scuffle too. Lions hunt many different types of prey, and sometimes their prey leads them into the water. When a hungry crocodile's meal gets interrupted, it is going to be very aggressive. So you can bet a crocodile will fight a lion. Look at this fierce standoff. We can see a group of lions enjoying a large kill, and suddenly they're interrupted by a hungry visitor. A crocodile attempts to stop by for a share of the meal, but this angry lion is not having it. He roars and attempts to scare off the crocodile. He eventually pushes the crocodile further and further back until it's got no other choice other than to retreat. Here we can see a lion eating a dead hippo. It notices something is wrong, and suddenly the crocodile jumps out of the water and attacks the lion. This catches the lion off guard and sends it running straight out of the water. Absolutely terrifying. Number 7. Badger versus badger. Badgers are small, but boy do they pack a punch. These feisty creatures can get very aggressive over animals much bigger than them. But that doesn't mean they aren't prone to fighting with one another. That's right, when bothered, a badger will fight another badger. And when these animals get hungry, you'd better watch out. Just look at these two badgers. One of them is seen eating and scouring the ground for more food, when suddenly a second one comes up from behind it. The first badger does not appreciate that at all, and the two badgers end up having a serious scuffle. They squeal and bite and roll around. They're just having an awful night by the looks of things. The fight continues on for quite some time, showing just how vicious these little guys can be. Now let's take a look at some animals that have the same kind of temper. Number 6. Raccoons versus raccoons. Raccoons love their late night snacks. These animals will dig and scour just about any place for food. A lot of them can be found in cities, so their hunts for food can be dangerous too. This all means that these animals take their meals very seriously. In this clip, we see a plump raccoon eating something off of the ground. It seems to be really into this meal. Suddenly, a second raccoon comes a bit too close for comfort and bothers the first raccoon. A fight ensues, and these two really get at it. They snap and bite at each other until they push themselves out of view. You don't want to be near when that happens. Number 5. Eagle versus coyote. Birds have the advantage of being able to soar high above their prey, but when they do come down to earth, they may need to fight off other animals that are much bigger than them. This eagle is a strong bird, but when faced with the challenge of fighting a coyote over some food, it can get a little bit messy. Take a look at the eagle in this clip. It's just started on a meal and decides to scope the surrounding area. All seems pretty quiet when suddenly a coyote appears. The eagle is hungry and would rather fight than flee. It spreads its wings wide and chases the larger coyote. And this guy is definitely intimidated, but his hunger is too strong. He gets past the eagle and grabs the food. Sadly for the eagle, the coyote is able to snatch up the meal, but the eagle stays close, always watching. Number 4. Lion versus leopard. Seeing a lion and a leopard in the wild could be quite frightening. These animals are brave and can give a good fight. And when they're hungry, they mean business. These two animals will fight just about any other animal for food. And they both have their advantages and weaknesses. Here we see a lion and a leopard take their fight high up into a tree. The leopard brought a meal to one of the highest branches, and the hungry lion decided to follow. This ends up being a bad idea as the branch completely snaps and sends the leopard, the lion, and their entire meal crashing back down onto the ground. Better luck next time. Alright, now let's check out some more brave animals. Number 3. Badger versus fox. Earlier in this list, we got the chance to see how a badger can fight for its right to eat, but now we get to see how it holds up against the sly fox. Foxes are very agile and live up to their cliched sneakiness. They know how to hunt, and the badger knows how to fight. Look at this instance. A fox can be seen munching on something from the ground, when a badger, who's pretty brave might I add, decides to check it out. The fox is very angered by this and picks a fight, but the badger couldn't really care less. It inspects the food as the fox continues to nip at it. The badger just moves to avoid the fox. Eventually the fox is able to chase the badger off. Man, that badger sure is brave. Number 2. Crocodile versus crocodile. Crocodiles can be beasts. They can intimidate many other animals, and humans too. But when you are just as strong as your enemy, your fears may be washed away. This is usually the case when two crocodiles fight over food. Just take a look at this. This group of crocodiles seems pretty tame, until they have to share a meal. One of the crocodiles becomes a bit agitated, and that sends them all into a frenzied fight. One crocodile grabs the other's leg in its mouth and rips it clean off. It then proceeds to eat it. How brutal is that? Number 1. Jackal versus vultures. We've made it to the number 1 spot on our list. Earning this spot is the jackal versus vultures. Vultures love eating nature's leftovers. So when they see an unfortunate carcass on the ground, they swoop in as a huge group. But jackals need to eat too, and if they have to fight these large birds, then they will. Check this out. In this unbelievable clip, a jackal can be seen enjoying a meal when a few vultures swoop by to check in on it. The jackal becomes distracted by another stray vulture and tries to ward it off. The other vultures come closer to the meal, and that angers the jackal. A standoff ensues, and the stray vultures distract the jackal long enough to help the other vultures capture the meal. It really is power in numbers out there in the wild. While you're still here, go ahead and click on one of these two videos on your screen. See you there.